by Odd Garrett. How you doing,
Hello.
Garrett?
Yeah, doing good. In the UK, nice little afternoon stream for me, as it is for the runners. And yeah, looking
Yes.
forward to a good match. This is a second chance bracket match featuring our number 2 seed, Baddymassindex, and our number 22 seed, gabrieljcampos. But seeding, as we've learned in this tournament, doesn't it can throw up a lot of surprises. So this is on paper not a very close match, but I'm expecting all kinds of shenanigans.
Everyone's got their own special little bit of routing for this tournament, so it is very, very interesting to watch the differences and how they eventually converge into one thing.
Yeah, and we've
And
seen some small differences can make a big impact. Baddymasindex's last match in the in the upper bracket lost 10 minutes down to not checking upper caves of banishment and missing a water mask. So small changes can make big differences.
yeah, for sure. And these flags that we're using this year are very prone to these accidentally leaving things behind because we've got I Spy on, meaning that we need our Oculus ring in order to break hidden walls. We're gonna start with Gun Plus. That's fun. Everyone loves gun.
Yeah, and some
Gun
bombardment
and
as well.
bombardment.
Big damage seed. Yeah, starting here in the past as we're doing with the inverted seed.
Yep.
So
So having some good damage to deal with the comparatively stronger enemies that we're gonna have to deal with off the bat is very good.
yeah, and it looks like Lake Serene checks are unavailable and basement loop checks are unavailable according to Baddymass's map check.
Yep. We've got a standard Lake Serene, we've got water in Lake Serene, but we've also got water in our castle loop, which is unfortunate for our runners here.
Yeah, but one head start there with the very first Timespinner gear immediately off the bat. So that's we're a fifth of the way there, right?
Oh yeah. Well, we also need our pyramid axes. We're one sixth at the worst.
Yeah, and maybe some vertical depending on what's happening in the pyramid. Early water mask, so those unavailable checks immediately become available.
Yeah. We'll see how that influences the routing. Batty is going to go to the left and work back to the refugee camp and probably head over to the upper caves of banishment, since I believe if I was if I'm remembering correctly, Batty said that they were not going to leave those checks alone anymore, especially after what happened.
I can believe that. I mean, having got the water mask, it makes sense now. There's
Yeah, I mean,
like runners have got to make the difficult decision whether to leave behind areas that they can't reach all of the checks. But with the water mask, there's definitely some areas where they can reach almost all of the checks straight away. And light wall there.
Light wall minus infinite vertical at cost of all of your aura. I know Batty likes single jump light wall. I don't know much about Gabriel's opinion on single jump light wall, but Batty has become more of a fan of it as the tournament has gone on, and the more that they've used it.
Yeah, Batty's a very technical runner. He's a 100% runner, and he's spent a lot of time practicing tech with different combinations of power ups. So
yeah. But as we can see, when Batty's casting that light wall, it's taken like a quarter of our total aura or our magic points. whatever you want to think of them as. So we don't get a whole lot of them before we need to stand still and recharge that, or hit a save, or use an item.
Yeah, if
So
they're
it's
gonna want to,
definitely not many people's first pick for vertical.
yeah, if he wants to head into some of the taller areas like Alana's Towers, then I'm gonna need a bit more aura first, or some other kind of vertical.
Yeah, but I imagine we'll be okay. We did find an early Selens Mangle. We're getting double experience, so we're getting some levels pretty quick here. So that should at least help out our runners. And there we get to see some jank with light wall. If you're standing inside of the light wall, it's not solid, so you can walk through it. That neurotoxin trap is just a little bit rude. It's gonna take all of our aura here.
Yeah, something they can't spare.
I believe that was our Time-Worn Warp Beacon. Another set that we had.
Just another warp, just another warp into the area, into the age they're currently in, which might make it easier to get down to more. But
I believe it was the Maw Cave entrance, so it is a warp that's almost through the entirety of Lake 3. So that might be convenient for our runners.
Do you think runners would use that rather than take the route through more caves?
Maybe. I'm thinking that they might use it to sort of split upper and lower Lake Serene easier. They can do our reverse horseshoe route starting from that Maw Caves entrance location rather than having to do it starting from the complete right side.
Right. Oh, Baddymass getting himself into light wall jail there, blocking himself off from that engineer check.
Bombardiers is kind of an annoying check to get with only light wall, because they do just like dropping boulders on us, and it's very rude of them.
Awkward. Gabriel picked up a Radiant there, which I think was plus.
Yes, our light wall and our Radiant Orb are plus, making them really good orbs and spells.
Oh, basically not
Light
flooded.
wall.
I misread Baddymass's map.
No.
Which makes it a little faster to traverse.
Yeah, Batty checks this map so quickly that if you only catch the back half of it, it's just like, whoops. Couldn't quite tell. But that's, you know, yeah, and there's that Radiant Orb on Batty's side. We did also find an Empire Crown pretty early, so this seed just wants us to kill everything in our path.
Yeah, no problem with fighting.
That Radiant's already doing, what is that, 60 damage?
60. Yeah. It's going to be some big numbers by the end of it. And a lot of the late game bosses are especially weak to that light damage.
Yeah. Only of the last 5 or so bosses, only Sandman resists radiant damage. Every other option is weak to it. So yeah, radiant damage is really good. Oh, there's an elevator keycard. That'll help us once we reach the present.
Yeah, still nothing to help us reach present. Oh, we got Spindle, I suppose, which is like half of one route.
Or we could just find the warp beacon to military.
Or the warp beacon. Oh yeah,
great. Which pairs exceedingly well with that elevator keycard, as that will allow us to clear the entirety of, well, not the entirety, but it'll allow us to make a pretty decent-sized first sweep through the Varnagroff Towers, and also reach Library without either of those B or D keycards that you would normally need.
Yeah, a little bit of a a longer route going up and over the military hangar, but plenty of checks to pick up on the way as well.
I mean, you're not gonna not check them. Here we can see the power of casting light wall inside of an enemy. Goodbye.
Yeah, especially plus. That's just going to chip away at a
It's
boss.
free damage. Everyone at this point knows that you just cast light wall, but I'm going to continue saying it. Light wall is an offensive tool as much as it is a vertical tool.
So we got a lot of damage in this seed. People are going to be taking on bosses more than they would in this tournament set of flanks, because whereas in the base game the bosses are required to progress, like the 3 of these bosses are literally only 1 or 2 checks for the effort you put into them, because we are using the prison break flag, where access to behind the military hangar is not through defeating 3 bosses, it's just through finding 3 collectibles.
Yeah, so that prison break flag basically disassociates our 3 laser accesses from the bosses that they would normally sit on. We just saw one, which was the Golden Idol location on Gabriel's
Hey, there's
side.
a sash in courtyard.
Yep, the better infinite vertical. Now light wall is exclusively an offensive tool.
And Baddy finding second gear at the top towards the top of Ilana's towers.
This is a scarily fast seed. I know Baddy probably isn't too worried about it, but like, we're 11 minutes in and we have 3 of 5.
3 of 5. All of our vertical, water mask, and present access.
Oh, and there's the actual Golden Idol at Ilana, a different laser boss. Also weak to radiant damage, so not there for much time at all. Other than that gear, we haven't seen. Well, I suppose the sash was also in towers. Gear and sash, we haven't seen much be required further up the towers.
Yeah, let's check these right side checks though. 3 at the top of this tower.
Lab code. Oroblast Plus, that's a good spell. I don't see either of our runners necessarily equipping it to use, but it is a good spell.
It's a bit of a slow spell, right?
Yeah, it is pretty slow, but it deals a relatively niche damage type. It does deal that aura type damage, whereas a lot of other ones fall into either sharper blunt damage, which is, it's a pretty solid damage type. It's not strong or weak against many things, but it's generally just neutral. But obviously we have our light wall, we have our bombardment. We're probably not too worried about it for the time being.
Not worried about damage for sure, yeah. So yeah, 12 minutes in and reasonably linear so far. No real divergence, just a couple of like doing the tower in different order. And
yep.
I think Baddymass just slightly ahead, purely on execution.
Well, Baddy has also cleared out the upper caves of banishment. Baddy is not going to clear out Lake Serene, instead going into Maw Caves. So, a little bit of a divergence here. There's one of those lasers we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, Baddy will find that as soon as he doubles back for the rest of Serene. Oh wow, and another one immediately.
So, guys, quit putting our folders underwater. I know they're waterproof, but please,
Yeah.
it's not a good spot to keep them.
Laminated sheets of access codes.
Ifrit at the camping spot. Ifrit is, you guessed it, weak to Radiant.
Weak to Radiant and very cheesable with that spot.
Very
where
cheesable.
they
We start with one of the
can't be
items
hit.
required to cheese that boss.
We've got the V
One
key
of the
card in Jackpot
There you
Room.
And not too much in Jackpot Room, other than that V key card, which isn't necessarily helpful currently.
Not without the tablet.
Nope.
Blood plus, a hell of a lot of plus. I think we've got only one minus by the look of it so far, but a very high-powered seed.
I finally rolled a good seed. It's incredible. That was our B card? Yeah, B. B card under the water. We're leaving the brooch on the ground. We've got no time for cosmetics.
I only discovered recently that in the randomizer the brooch is a progressive item.
Yeah.
There is our pyramid access.
So we are officially 2 items from Go mode.
And I plus. If it wasn't enough damage already.
You know, just in case you were thinking, you know, I could really use a little bit more damage. And in fact he was, immediately swapping to that eye orb.
Yeah, I plus runs very well with the orb swapping glitch technique. I think it's not a glitch, it was deliberately intended.
Or everyone's got their own takes. But it's useful. It allows you to reset the cooldowns of the orbs, and for whatever reason, Eye Orb of all orbs does not lose its hitbox when you reset your orbs, which makes it very nice.
Sea key card.
Wandered a little bit far away, but we found it.
Yeah, first dip into the present for Baddy here. A lot of possible checks, but also a lot that are going to have to be left behind. He hasn't picked up that B key card yet.
Yeah, no B key card. More importantly, we don't have fire for Lake Desolation if we wander that far. So
Yeah,
that's a handful of checks we're leaving down there.
Yeah, and having specifically dipped on Lake Serene, it's maybe going to be in the back of his mind that that's an option that he's missed it.
I mean, he could also just be clearing out towers and does not intend to go further than the library. That's also a very possible option.
It's a pretty dense set of locations. Cantaran falling over pretty easily here.
Cantaran at the Varney spot. Yeah. We're back into the early game locations. Things have significantly less health now. A perk of starting in the past is once you get to these earlier game locations, you are just absolutely flying. I thought Gabriel might make the play to defeat the Maw.
Without the gas mask. And the third gear.
Yeah, it would have been out of logic, but we've seen some people do it, and it's certainly a valid option.
Yeah,
But
I remember a seed last week where the defeating the Maw just resulted in an out of logic gas mask in the captain's chests. Gas locked gas mask.
Yeah. That was a funny one. You put yourself through all this pain and suffering only to find that the item locked itself away. While I was waffling about that, we did find our third Timespinner cube. We are the Timespinner wheel away from go on Baddy's side.
Yeah, that gear was at the top of the I want to say towers just before Baddymass came here.
Towers.
Yeah.
So Baddy is one random item check away.
Yeah, he hasn't picked up the pyramid access.
Oh yeah, Baddy does not have the pyramid access. That was in Lake Serene.
And it flashed by so quickly, but I think it said inner, so when they get there, it will be a very short run down to the bosses.
Yeah. I would not be surprised that if Baddy picks up that warp, we see an immediate dip in. A lot of us have been burned by last year's qualifier seed, which had, and get this, the entirety of the present was entirely bait. You got your 5 gears and your warp in the past, or you got 4 of your gears and the warp in the past, and it was go to pyramid and finish up the game. So
Wow.
a lot of runners have integrated that into their routing.
It only has to happen once, and you never want to see it again.
I mean, that's influenced Baddy's routing during this tournament. Dead at boots, gone.
Yeah, Baddy continuing to head left into Desolation, and he's going to miss those. No fire for either runner yet, but he's going to potentially have to double dip if that's where Wheel ends up being.
Yeah. We are seeing Gabriel use that B card that he picked up in Lake Serene to check out the Siren Caves. So we'll get a handful of checks that we didn't see out of Baddy from here. As Baddy just makes their way through Lower Lake Desolation, making good use of the Silence Ring, I believe it's called. The Silence Ring making you capable of tanking an entire hit with no knockback if you have enough defense.
Yeah. I've only started running this randomizer recently, and as not a very good player, the Silence Ring is one of my favorites.
Yeah, Silence Ring is a fantastic speedrunning ring because, as you see there, it just makes you capable of running through enemies without going into that slow hit stun. So having an orb set with it on that you just wander around with, like the Radiant Orb, is just really convenient. Both of our runners making great use of it. It's good to see it around, because a lot of people will just opt to not equip it. Oh, I didn't see that Baddy had picked up a laser access. We have lab access.
Oh yeah, all three for Gabriel there. Baddy's also picked up Plasma Geyser, so that gives him access to the Yas Queen Room, as it's named in Archipelago version of this.
Yeah, a lot of those names have bled over to the regular randomizer because a lot of them are silly, like Yas Queen Room.
And Baddy's going to finish his laser access here.
Yep, now Baddy's got all the lasers. because Gabriel skipped the towers, does not have that wheel, which means we know the temporal gyre that he's doing is completely bait. But he doesn't know he's missing one here. The
Oh yeah, because
wheel
you
time
can't
stop
find the wheel
ability,
in here. Yeah.
yeah, is logically required for these 3 checks. So
You do
Gabriel
pick up Arm Cannon Plus though, which I've seen used particularly effectively in these temporal gyre rooms, just from the number of enemies here.
Yeah, it's a good one. Or we'll just use our gun orb. That's also plus.
Gorb is also very powerful. Yeah.
Oh, and this is why it's not in logic. We
Oh, the
can't
Oculus
keep
ring
guys
in
there.
Oculus ring in Lower Desolation in Lower Desolation for Baddie. So that's a whole lot of checks that just got added.
A lot of one-off checks, things that we have walked by already. Oh, there was fire in the gyre.
That is interesting. Gonna open some not yet in logic checks in the present once you got a little bit of a divergent route and go into the past, burn the
2
vines,
bits of
go
fire.
into the present. That's really interesting.
2 bits of out of logic fire. That's weird.
So it
Gabriel's
is
gonna make-
definitely going to hint that all of the fire is bait.
Well, we could find fire in lab still. But there are still 2 options for in logic fire. But for all we know right now is that the wheel cannot be behind fire. Because we only found fire in the gyre.
Mm-hmm. Okay, there's the pyramid access for Baddie.
Yeah, Baddie's got it all. Lasers, pyramid access. Just needs to find the wheel.
Yeah, it's going to be very tempting to head into pyramid and see if the wheel is there.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, we've all been burned by it. I mean, we've seen it a few times in this tournament alone, too. One of the required pieces in pyramid.
Yeah, quite often in that regret chest location as well, which is definitely a crowd favorite.
Regret chest, yeah.
Maybe not so much a
Everyone
runner
loves
favorite.
regret. Everyone loves regret. Nobody regrets checking it ever. Imagine if that was the case. We'd have to call it something. I don't know, maybe regret chest.
Gabriel running through lab. Oh no. Gabriel running through the lab.
Baddies into the pyramid.
Oh, the A key card, which is
A key card
in lab, which could be useful. It's very close to one of the checks.
Yep, I think Gabriel needs that A card to be required. Reasonably, at this point. Which, I mean, it has the entirety of Zarian Caves. There's the one in Towers as well.
Mm-hmm.
So there's quite a few options that
We
would
are
be
getting our
good for that wheel location for him.
regret check here.
Is it important?
No.
No. Never check regret.
Just some cool threads. I never knew if it was regret chest because you regretted checking it, or you regretted not checking it when it was important.
Why not both? I mean, we've all regretted it for one reason or another.
Budget final bosses when we get there. And let's see if it's in the final spot. No. So,
No,
more
but we've got
hunting,
our
Baddy.
Kobo familiar. Hey, a succubus hairpin. Hairpin and webs. That's our double jump ability. Very, very good for extra vertical and horizontal movement, because our celestial sash kind of locks us into exclusively vertical movement while we're using it. That taking that Kobo familiar and immediately going to the Ifrit spot that it unlocks. Getting rewarded. And there's the wheel. It's in the lab.
Wow. So, not a location Baddy is gonna skip. It's just about whether he gets there anytime soon.
Yeah. A lot of our runners don't like checking lab. It's pretty slow to go through. Much rather do things like fire checks, just a lot more dense, a lot quicker.
So Gabriel's going to finish checking pyramid here. He's not going to find his final gear. He's going to have to start dipping back. His advantage now is that he hasn't found the Oculus ring. So he's got like a little bit less bait to check on the way because the wheel itself is out in the open.
Yeah, Oculus being entirely bait. Oh, and Baddy's going. Yeah, Baddy is gonna go into the military hangar.
Gabriel showing off his light wall tech, even though it doesn't need it at all.
Yeah, it's a very good tech to know.
It's impressive.
It saves you a long fall down and a long climb back up.
Okay, Baddy's heading in the right direction here, so this is all, the difference here is all going to be about where Gabriel decides to go after he finishes pyramid.
Yep. It really is. Does he check the towers? But with that Kobo familiar, he might just go to the library and skip towers.
Yeah, once you find a little kind of, once you find a little bit of progression in that final chest, you think, well, did my opponent come here? Like, if I go to this spot, is this an advantage I have over them?
Randomizer is more than making the right guesses. It's making the right guesses and predicting what your opponent is or isn't doing. Did this save me time? How much time did I lose by not coming here earlier? Especially with these flags.
As a runner, how much time do you spend thinking about what your opponent is doing?
You know, that's a really good question. I think it definitely varies from runner to runner. I think about it occasionally as I am going to make few split decisions, especially. Like at the start of the seed, I'll think about what my opponent is more likely to do for their opening, and I'll think about like whether or not I think doing something weird is beneficial in that state or whatever. I might think about it more than your average runner, but that is definitely more because I am not yet a speedrunner of this game. I'm definitely more of just a randomizer player for this game.
Yeah, I think this randomizer,
further I get along.
This randomizer really lends itself to the two different plays. Like you do get a lot of benefits from good execution and like smooth movement and great bosses, but there is a lot of routing consideration in the randomizer, and we've seen people like beat much more experienced speedrunners from good routing choices.
Yeah, absolutely. This tournament has been the story of that, like, almost specifically.
Yeah, at the moment I think the top the top eight seeds are all in the second chance bracket.
Um, top four,
Top four.
five is still in the top. Top five is Lunar A Games.
Oh, of
Um,
course.
but yeah, it's pretty impressive. 1 through 4, and then like 6 through 8 are all out of top. It's insane. This tournament is awesome. Batty took a quick detour to go check the Siren Caves, but now he's back in the lab. Only a matter of time before he reaches Genza and is in go mode. As Gabriel decides that the Lake Serene checks are calling to him.
Yeah, he has his out of logic fire, so he doesn't know what he's going to need for that final gear.
Yeah. I mean, he realistically doesn't even know that that fire was not important. That's just something we are privy to because we are commentators and we know where that last gear is. Batty also knows that it couldn't be in the gyre because he doesn't have the wheel either, but
yeah, and he specifically
battle of
has everything else, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense. You clear out the fire in Lake Serene, get all those checks, and you go into Lake Desolation, and we know it's all bait.
Which is a shame. It really is going to be that dip into Gaia that that's the turning point for Gabriel. If he hadn't done that, then he would have gone to Towers by now.
Yeah, more than likely. But when you have fire and you know you have cleared Upper Lake Serene and Upper Desolation, that's your densest location. You're not going to leave that hanging.
Yeah.
Especially when the Varnagroth towers have like 7 checks total available to you because you don't have Oculus either. Is it 7?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just about.
And Gabriel is about to find his Oculus ring, which is
already has the Oculus ring. It was in
already has it.
Upper Lake Serene, not Desolation.
Not Desolation. Okay.
And Batty picking up that wheel is on his way to go fight our final bosses.
Who do you reckon final bosses? Who haven't we seen yet? We haven't seen the vanilla bosses. No Nightmare or Sandman.
I'm thinking Nightmare into Dad. No.
Could be Dad into Nightmare.
Could be Dad into Nightmare. This is Prince Dad, I believe.
Yes, it's Prince.
Yeah, no throne in the background. Not that it makes much of a difference, they're practically the same.
Have you found us hoping for a final boot?
Zarian.
It's final Zarian.
Going to switch our audio. Just real quick, we're having some issues with Gabriel's side. Exclamation points in chat for Batty. That is GG's for him.
Wow.
Radiant is good on Zarian, so unsurprising.
Yeah, we knew from the start that we were going to get a very quick final set of bosses. There was so much damage in this seed.
Yeah,
Um,
we found all of like 2 minus orbs. It was pretty quick.
and Baddy finishing with an official time of 37 minutes and 39 seconds. A little bit of trouble with the restream here, but we'll let you know how Gabriel is getting on. I imagine he'll continue. He probably doesn't feel like he's got too many other places to check.
Yep. Oh no, we never saw Zarian caves. This could be unfortunate. Yeah, going into Zarian caves.
See if we can get an invite out to Baddy to bring him into this chat.
Okay, yep. The helper's on the way. We'll get Batty in here shortly. The invite that got automatically sent out was invalid for some reason, so
And yeah,
while that's
we'll
happening, we can try and make out what's happening on Gabriel's side. But we know that the Zarion caves are all bait and that he just needs to go visit the towers for his final gear.
Hi there.
Oh,
yes,
come
welcome
on
in,
in.
Baddy. Congratulations.
Thank you. The Timespinner wheel at the end was very relieving. So that was needed to go there.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's a nice find. And Gabriel, his main divergence was when he dipped into Gaia out of logic and found himself some fire. So, uh, finding finding that wheel late definitely caused him more problems.
Yep, had all 3 lasers and B before finding that last gear, and decided to make a bold play to check Geyer out of logic.
Did he have all other pieces yet? Or
He was
Was
still
missing
missing a
gear and
gear.
Barnagroth towers and
okay.
the time spinner wheel. So
Um,
it was a bold play to try and pick up that gear and found fire, which, as we know, is bait. Um, I didn't actually see any other fire throughout the entire seed from either of
I
them.
did not have any.
Yeah,
No, complete
you didn't
bait.
end up with fire at all. Gabriel got 2 sources of fire out of Geyer, as well as an arm cannon plus.
Oh, that spell is nice. But we were loaded with plus anyway.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
you were
a
ready
very
from
good
the
spell,
start.
but
So how did you find that race, Baddy? We noticed, although you had early water mask this time, so your dip into desolation into caves of banishment was much easier to decide.
Yeah. I was burned from that last match. I always do that even without water mask now. So
yeah,
it was nice to do everything in one loop then.
yeah, burned by that last match, burned by last year's tournament qualifier. That's why we always see pyramid checked as soon as we're 4 of 5.
Yeah.
It's amazing what one seed can do to your psyche.
And yeah, a couple of early checks. Got a nice early vertical, early damage. It was a pretty smooth seed.
Yeah. For the first 20 minutes, I felt pretty good because everything was very linear, but then everything was open again, as in every seed, and that is when I'm panicking. And gladly, I did the right choices.
Yeah, and that reasonably late Oculus ring turned out to be bait and didn't cause you too many problems.
I was thinking about checking Oculus before going to lab, but then I thought I got them so what is it called? So fast,
Uh,
one after the other. then I wanted just to give it a try.
Nice. And
it was not flooded. That is also a thing to decide.
very smooth. What was I going to say? Gabriel, towards the end, when you were looking for your wheel, Gabriel had dipped into lab and found wheel, but had just not gone to the towers. And depending on where he had ended up, it could have been a much closer race. If he just dipped to towers, it would have been like neck and neck.
Yeah.
We can't see it on stream, but Gabriel is in the towers now and has just picked up their third Timespinner gear. So they will be on their way and done momentarily.
Okay.
Just having some issues on the restream. So just unfortunate. Had that B card before going to the towers, so it just went through the lower route, checked sirens during that, and just never bothered clearing the towers. It was it's kind of how the seed went for him.
Oh, he went that late into present?
Checked Lake Serene early.
Ah,
so
okay.
had
That's why the B card
going into present.
Okay.
Yeah, that was the one. That was the one early area that you didn't check quite as early. So you didn't pick up your sash or your B card quite so early.
Our sash was in Ilana's towers. It was in the courtyard chest.
Yeah, I was.
Both our runners had that one pretty early.
Okay.
That moment was weird.
Just the B key card. Okay.
I did not have enough aura and no items for that right part, but I continued just out of muscle memory. And I was so glad about that sash.
Yeah, that worked out for you.
I would have had to wait a lot for these 2 light bolts.
We've got Gabriel's stream back, just working on a quick recrop for that, but he's into those final battles.
Yep. We'll be finishing up shortly.
Yeah, so congratulations on winning this match, Baddy. You have a little bit of a break now. Your next match in the second chance bracket is kind of queued up behind 3 other matches. So you've got a little bit of a rest before you get to play again.
That's nice.
I gotta get through my matches so I can go play you. You know how it works.
Oh, right. So
and exclamation points for Gabriel. We will get him in here as well, hopefully.
Gabriel finishing in official time of 46 minutes and 6 seconds. So yeah, about a 8-9 minute difference between the 2 runners there. Mostly down to Gabriel just finding a lot of other things to check before going back to the towers.
Yeah, I mean that's how it ends up going. There's obviously, as we've seen with most of these races, there's a correct route, and it's very rare for our runners to pick the correct route, but it's about how much time you're spending doing the incorrect stuff that leads you to the correct stuff. How willing are you to leave these onesie twosies around, knowing that you might have to go spend twice as long getting them again?
It's a very hard decision. My
Oh,
brain wants to keep them away forever, so you only go through if you have fire, vertical, oculus, water masks, and everything. But that's not possible in this flag set. So
yeah,
it's always...
my brain wants to do that too, but I have a certain point where I'm like, no, it's not worth routing in 1 or 2 extra checks of density when this is by far my best location to check. I have to do this now, otherwise I'm throwing.
That is why I went present Lake Desolation without fire. There was nothing, but that is sometimes just a gamble.
Yeah.
Or was there something? I don't remember.
I don't believe there was anything in Desolation.
Yeah.
Or,
I don't
maybe
remember.
there was a laser?
That could be. Two of them were
no,
back to back in Lake. In
No, I think the librarian gave us a laser. So I don't think there was anything in Lake Desolation.
Yeah. After lab, I would have gone to Xarian Caves. So if anything would have been in the past onesies, then it would have been away. So,
Yeah. It was a weird seed because you could tell both of our runners really didn't want to check Lake Serene without fire, and then there was just no fire anywhere.
yeah.
Until you went to the Gyre and they gave you 2. But as you were going through, you knew it literally couldn't be in the Gyre, so you just
Skipped it.
you had no reason to go in.
Yeah. And the check after that too, because the way up there in the Bombardiers is also only in Dodric with time stop.
Welcome, Gabriel.
GG's.
GG.
How you feeling about this seed?
It was a good seed. I don't like to do a elevator, but
Yeah, I could kind of tell that you really didn't like doing that, the stuff with the elevator, because obviously that's where your last gear was. And you, and this is going to sound weird, unfortunately had the benefit of already having B card once you went to the present,
yeah.
so you had no reason to go through. Whereas Batty went to the present before getting that B card in Lake Serene, so was forced to route up and through the Varna Grey Towers with the elevator key card. And that kind of made the big difference. One level of convenience just being like, I don't need to do these right now.
Yeah.
The other big difference that for you, Gabriel, was when you decided to dip into the Gaia without the wheel, which I think gave you 2 different kinds of fire, and maybe kind of distracted you towards the end of the seed.
Yeah. The check, the out of logic Gyre check, for 2 sets of out of logic fire was interesting. Granted, you did find the wheel to put the fire in logic, but Batty never went in. Batty never found fire anywhere, because wheel was his last time spinner piece, and it can't be in the Gyre because it logically requires it.
I didn't know. I thought the guy was always in logic.
No, because of the nether shades that you can only kill while time stopped. Even though the door's open, the Gyre isn't in logic.
Okay.
That's a little bit unfortunate. So I'm sorry to hear that happened to you.
But yeah, anyway,
It's randomizer.
well, this is the second chance bracket, so unfortunately, Gabriel, that is your last match. But you had a good run in this competition. I think you came in as one of the unseeded runners, and brought off some good races. You had two good wins against some higher ranked opponents, so definitely a very successful tournament run for you, I'd say.
Yeah, would not be disappointed with the tournament, your tournament performance here. It looked very similar to my first tournament performance. Get a few good wins, go out and blaze a glory against one of the best players in the game.
Yeah. How do you feel it? How do you feel the tournament's been for you, Gabriel?
Advice? I don't know. I don't know. I knew that was the second highest seed.
Yeah.
And cool. But maybe I can win. Yeah. It was yeah, I don't know how to explain this.
That's quite okay. That's quite
Yeah.
alright.
And you're right. You're up against the second highest seed, but it was only a couple of decisions away from being a very close match that could, you could easily have taken that as well. So yeah, congratulations.
Thank
Do we have any final thoughts from you, Garrett, or our runners here?
Right now, I will watch it back after the stream, probably. That's always nice. And thanks for commentating.
No problem. Thanks for running. As we said, Baddy, you've got a little gap before your next match. But Timespinner fans, you've got some more matches coming up a little bit sooner than that. The next match looks like it's going to be on Wednesday at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. That's going to be Jim the Eternal versus Tombury James in the upper bracket. And there are currently 2 matches that are confirmed scheduled for Thursday, 5 p.m. Yano versus Ducky, and 9 p.m. Lunar Ray Games versus Wind Fame Maiden.
I'm also seeing on Tuesday at 8 p.m. we have Talon versus Waffle Soup as well. So we got
even sooner.
Earlier match.
That one
We got one tomorrow. Way later than now.
At a suitable time for American runners and viewers. Sorry, yeah, that Tuesday match has only gone up recently.
What do you mean? This isn't a suitable time for American runners and viewers? It was early. But still happy to be here.
Thanks for waking up that early.
You're welcome. Glad to be here.
Okay, only 2 other things to say. The first one is Wishlist Timespinner 2 on Steam, as we say every race. And also, thanks to Speedgaming for putting on these races. Speedgaming Live is coming up, and Speedgaming would like you to know that there are still tickets available, and they're looking out for volunteers to help out on at the event. So please check the Speedgaming website if you're interested in either of those things.
Yeah. Unless we've got anything else, I believe that's it for us. Enjoy the rest of your day. Whether it's early